We of the Cree and Ojibwe Nation who come from within your boundaries of Ontario, Manitoba, and Quebec, and who live in Ontario North at a height of land known as the Arctic watershed, declare ourselves to be a free and sovereign nation.
On July 6, 1977, Chief Andrew Ricard, President of Grand Council Treaty 9, presented to the assembled chiefs of Ontario, the Ontario Cabinet, and the people of Canada, a declaration of independence.
Indian Affairs official informed all the people that were there that the Queen had asked them to be her children. He informed them that the Queen would like them to give their land. Then he asked them, "If you're willing to let your land go, I'll raise your hands." And all the people there just raised their hands without even considering it first.
My name is Jerry Martin, and I come from Matagami First Nation over there by Timmins. And in 1976, I started working, and it was in the fall of 76, started working with Grand Council Treaty Number 9 that we call it. And it was just shortly after that plane crash in Fraserville.
Yes.
And we had 3 people there. It was Harry Atchney Paniscum, Xavier Sutherland, Doug Shepard, yeah. But he didn't take into account that those high wires were on the ravine, and they flew right into it, and they were all killed. And it taught us a lesson very quickly, a very bitter lesson, that we could lose people, good people like Harry, who knew a lot about the hydro development. He'd seen their maps and what they wanted to do. The Mackenzie Valley Pipeline was going on.
Yeah.
And they were looking at, it was the first one that I think involved Aboriginal peoples, both Métis, status, non-status, and Inuit, how resource development would impact on our lifestyles and the environment. And after that, Andy said, and the executive kicked around the idea, we should do that ourselves, because we're in the same boat. Development's trying to come into our Treaty 9 territory. And being down on Waban, we had seen that down in the southeast part of the Nan territory now. We've seen mining and hydro development and all the developments they have, what it did to the land. So when these people come up and say, we want to develop mining company here in we're going to train your people, for them it's just profits, but they don't measure or look at the social problems and the fallout of these things after.
I think for me, what I see is such widespread addiction, and what I see is that we have a very vulnerable population, and the things that protected us 35 years ago were the lands and the fishing, the traditional lifestyles and the social cohesion. That's not there anymore. So when you look at the protective factors that were there 35 years ago and they're not there now, that leaves a whole population very vulnerable for things like an ultra-addictive drug like OxyContin.
My name is Chris Cromarty, and like Jerry says, I am of the opinion, the same opinion he is, that we needed a voice. Even though the people we're dealing with, a lot of them didn't know how to speak English, and a lot of them hadn't been to school. All they had was their natural life habitats, the way they lived. And we had to harness all that energy and make it into a whole. Now, by 1977, the organization, Grand Council 3 and 9, had already been in existence for 4 years. And initially, when we formed the organization, we had so many social problems that's where we tackled first. We didn't look at the broad picture or the political independence. For the longest time, we had to put out these brush fires all over the place. Social issues, health, education.
It is written in the Bible that man may own all earthly possessions, but still be nothing if he loses his soul. This is true. It is important that you learn so that you will have a good life, and also to better the lives of your people as you go on learning. It is true that you are small now, and that maybe you'll forget after leaving here. But later on, this will all come back to you.
Bill 191, that impact for people. You know, the government put forward that bill to try to gain as much control as they can over our lands and territories and resources.
If we could use the land, I mean, it's that whole thing, you know, use it or lose it, right? The land is very important to Aboriginal people. I mean, we were told that we are custodians of the land. We're looking after the land. We don't own it, and we have no right to give it away, right?
We live here, we breathe here, we raise our families here, and we want to stay here, you know, all the time. We're going to be here. Well, that's how we live. That's how we're going to be. That's how our tradition is out here, and where we were raised, and our forefathers were here. Left us here, and that we love it. That's how we were raised and born, and that's how it always going to be in our generations.
And whether it's education, resource development, which is big on the agenda right now, it's on the horizon. Who we are as a people, as Nishnawbe people. We belong to the Algonquin linguistic group. We're the biggest one in North America, Turtle Island. We don't have to apologize for anybody to say we're here. We have been here for 10,000 years. We are part of the ancient tribes of this continent, this country. And we need to instill that in our young people so that when the government come up to, where's your chief? We want to talk of a meeting here about the hydro development, resource, you know, cottage development. We're going to put a road through your community. You're going to have jobs and wealth. Oh yeah, we're going to have problems too.
All the rabbit snare was made a long time ago with a pole, a string, and two pieces of stick. And that's as been the guy washing the door about it.
What been the guy washing the door?
You go through that loop there.
And to go with the guy.
It comes either side.
What the place does you have to
We just wanted to make our own voice. So we started writing this declaration. There wasn't phones in all of our communities, you know.
There was no airports either.
Yeah, some of them had to take boats or come down.
Behind the scenes, the governments didn't know what they were doing. We didn't know. I didn't know, at least I didn't know that they were working on this. But I understood the need for it. It had to be done.
You have to remember at that time, most of our First Nations, we didn't have band offices.
Yeah. What they did was convert the housing into offices.
Yeah.
3-bedroom house.
Yeah.
That would become your band office.
Yeah, that was our first one.
Yeah. And also the chiefs didn't get paid. There was no honorariums. The only person that got paid was the administrator.
Our people we didn't have banks, and they didn't have bank cards. So in order to pay their meals and their honorarium, we had to pay them in cash.
And they were the first ones to bring in a batch of money like that, and then in a briefcase. And I remember we kept it in our house, my wife and I. I don't know how much I stole, but I don't think I...
Did you sleep that night? Wilbert and Andy asked me to go find an artist, so we got a hold of this Mishan to do the bear, the white bear, with the ribs and everything. There's teachings on that. We wanted something that reflected the people and the land. We could say Nishnawbe Aski, which is Ojibwe. We wanted to include the Cree, which is Aski, Nishnawbe Aski, people in the land.
We agreed to share. We live up to the terms of our agreement. We kept peace, paid honor to a European sovereign, allowed the white man to settle and live according to his laws, and permitted his religions and cultures to be introduced to our people.
When the presentation was made, it's always difficult for government to respond right away because they don't know exactly what it is we're after, eh? even though in their own language it plainly says they want self-determination.
I was one of the people involved in looking at the transcripts of what the elders said in their speeches in the assemblies, and to extract some of those comments from the audio tapes that we had of them making those speeches. So that was one of the things I was involved in that declaration.
You agreed to share. You said our rights would never be lost. You did not live up to the agreement.
I was in the room in Queen's Park in 1977 in July when Andy Rickard spoke to the premier at the time, I think was William Davis, and delivered this, awesome statement of nationhood.
Andy was good if he could remember it, commit it to memory, and then say it, and he could augment it, big booming voice. But he wasn't so good at reading, then he'd get nervous and paper would shake, and he'd lose his place and so.
And you could tell that they really didn't understand what Andy Rickard was trying to tell them. I mean, they were quite bewildered, I think, by, who is this group of Northern Aboriginal people? We don't know what they're really talking about. Because a lot of them have visited the territory, right?
And we want to be heard. And this is when they got together and drafted this declaration. Have you seen it?
The right to make laws which govern our people must be returned to our people. On having regained the ability to govern ourselves, we will insist that Treaty 9 be renegotiated.
The press was just incredible. There's dozens of them. 35 millimeter cameras with flashes going off and the mics in our face and everything, Premier sitting there in his cabinet. And I just remember it being so hot.
Yeah.
Their air conditioner wasn't cutting it. But we knew that we were making history. But we had to, because of what happened at Fraserdale. It showed us that we were vulnerable. We needed to work harder, as hard as we could for our people.
Hi, my name is Rita Sophia and I am 10 years old. Hi, my name is Lauren and I'm 10 years old. My name is Ethan and I'm 10 years old.
Involving the young people, we got to try and get them involved in what's happening, because they're the ones that are going to have to carry on whatever we decide or whatever is decided on. And there's more of them apparently than anybody else in the Indian country anyways.
I want to see a young center, a place where we can go and play soccer, basketball, or just chill, a safe place so students are just not getting in trouble.
We have families in small, overcrowded houses as well. If therefore none, when you give money, this is where I want to see it going. Thank you for reading my ideas.
I think the best thing I've done with my time was when I went to high school. We played basketball and organized basketball, played as a native team against the city teams. But our coach was a radio disc jockey at CGIC in Sault Ste. Marie. And after games, we'd go and watch him operate turntables, the old-fashioned records. You spin them. It didn't look complicated to me. I could do that. And after '73, Fred Plain came up to Big Trout Lake when I was living there. And he said, the government is looking for communities to start a radio station. Right away, Bob went up in my head. We could do it. They wanted 3 communities to start these community radio stations. One was Baker Lake in the Territories. Another one was in Yukon, and that's in Ontario. And I presented to the chief of our reserve, Agnes Chapman, and he said, well, you go ahead and pick up the ball and run with it. And I did a lot of running to try and convince white people that we can run the radio station. And that's how what they got started. We had the first one, radio station, Big Trout Lake. And it was just as simple as I thought it was. It wasn't, you're just talking to a dead mic and spin records. I mean, if you enjoy music, you're in heaven. And well, of course, then once all the communities knew we could do it, there was no problem expanding into Awate, what is now Awate. Yeah. But that's, to me, that's one of the things that I never said this to anybody. That's the first time I've told that story publicly. But I'm telling you, because I don't want to go around blowing my horn.
I only hope that the young Nishnawbe youth can appreciate the effort we put out back in that time, 77. Because, like I said, I think about 90% of them are all gone.
Yeah.
It was a brave new initiative. We didn't know exactly where we were going, but we had to get that voice for our people. It wasn't easy, with less technology than what you have now. But we did it. We had to do it. And that's what we put forward to the young people today. Now they've got to do it, carry it forward, and redefine those things. We had to do something, and we did.
The right to make laws which govern our people must be returned to our people. On having regained the ability to govern ourselves, we will insist that Treaty 9 be renegotiated. Your government has refused to live up to the terms and the spirit of the treaty. We agreed to share. We live up to the terms of our agreement. We kept peace, paid honor to a European sovereign, allowed the white man to settle and live according to his laws, and permitted his religions and cultures to be introduced to our people. You agreed to share. You said our rights would never be lost. You did not live up to the agreement. Once again, we want you to understand us. For over 350 years, you have failed to recognize the unique lifestyle of the Nishnawbe Aski.
We had the small amphitheater upstairs where we did press conferences. And there was a lot of people, CBC, CTV, French, English, everything, newspapers. And there's this one young guy, non-native fella, trying to be really smart and intelligent, asked this question. It took him about 3 to 5 minutes to ask this question, to ask Fred. The answer Fred says, And then he would flip through his papers and his book. And finally, after about a long while, he said, no. That's all he said. And we all laughed because, U.S. is great, big, huge, and trying to be sophisticated and suave, and trying to stump him, and all he answered was no.